Hey, this is Brett from Mud Run Guide. I'm here with somebody that I'm sure all of you out there know, Mr. Joe De Sena. How are you, sir?
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time, buddy. And I'm sorry I had you on hold.
It's okay. I know that you're crazy busy. Speaking of crazy busy, you just came back from Iceland. When did you get in? Yesterday?
Just got back from Iceland last night, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I have to admit, you and I were texting back and forth for the few weeks leading up, and I was sweating.
Yeah.
There was $1 million on the line, and I can't say the outcome was perfect, but because I had a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, where I think I wanted Albon to win, even though financially I didn't. But the fact that Atkins got so close to breaking 90 miles, I think it was a really good outcome.
Well, so let's frame the entire thing, because I know that there were some challenges that were thrown down before. There was some spur of the moment. You being the type of person that's great at doing spur of the moment, crazy shit like that. So frame the entire thing. You and I talked when the whole million came up, and I told you that you were crazy. I said, I don't like to be right about this, but I said there's probably only one person in the world that would do that, and we know who that person was. I know that you're jogging around over there. There's your video. Okay. So we talked about it. I said you were crazy. You said I'm going to do it anyways, and then you went ahead and did it. So explain to me how the million came about, and then all of these kind of side bets that came up.
Yes. So basically, I was with Faith standing for Tahoe. She was in getting ready for Tahoe. She was in New York. I was in New York, and she was telling me about her diet of pizza.
Okay.
And I was like, she's one of our most elite females. Why are you eating pizza? And she goes, it's cheap. And I marinated on that for like a couple of days, and I said, we got to do something big for these elite athletes. These are the best athletes in the world. They dedicate their life to this. They've got complete wholeness, right? It's the whole body, mind, spirit. It's much different than any other sport. And I came up with an idea. I said, we're going to throw $1 million out. I did not check with my board. I didn't check with my investors. I just threw it out there. And my thinking was that we had already offered $100,000 to anybody who could do 100 miles in Iceland. And I had insurance for that. So I knew I could get insurance for that. So my thinking was, now somebody's got to win Tahoe. Somebody's got to win Sparta, and then they got to do the 100 miles anyway, so I know I can get insurance for that. What I did not consider was that when the insurance company saw how fast Albon won Tahoe, that they were like, hold on a second, and they said the premium, and I fell off my chair. It just wasn't worth it. So I rolled the dice, and we rolled the dice, and there's no way Albon's going to win Sparta and Iceland anyway. And then he goes and wins Sparta. And you and I were texting back and forth. And then going into Iceland, he's getting all this press. He's getting interviewed. And he keeps stating this recurring theme, which is, if I don't feel I could do it, I'm just going to quit. And I was playing that in my head. And I thought there's a few outcomes here that are great. One outcome for the sport that's great is that he wins. It's great for the sport. Not so great for me, but great for the sport. Another great outcome would be that he gets, 85 to 100, somewhere in there. That's great for the sport, because there's some young person that would be watching and all of a sudden dedicate their life to that kind of specific training. And then 2, 3, 5 years from now, we'd see that person come up and win this thing.
Right.
A bad outcome would be that he quit. That said, I got to know Albon over this time between Tahoe and Sparta and then Iceland. And I got to say, the guy is the salt of the earth. He is awesome. And I was speaking to Ryan Atkins today, who ultimately won, and I think just about 85 miles. And he had room to knock out another 6 miles. So I think he was in that 90-mile zone. And I spoke to him today, and he said, you got to understand, John, he's different than me, different than Atkins, and probably different than most of us listening here. He really just enjoys, like, the run, going out, taking in nature. He's not as aggressive, triple type A personality. He's not going for
no training plan.
Yeah, he's not like that. And so, of course, Joe, this is Atkins speaking, he had to go for it for the $1 million. And of course, he's going to come to Iceland. But the second that he saw that he was going to be in massive pain and it was going to be a really close call, he pulled the plug. And no one can fault him for that. I certainly can't fault him for that. Like I said, he's awesome. He's an awesome guy. And a guy
he raced every single weekend. So from September all the way through October up until Iceland, he raced and or won every weekend in every major race there was. Whether it was sky running, whether it was mountain marathon, whether it was a different OCR, he raced and won everything every weekend.
And I don't know. I mean, you'd have to get in his head, but I don't know if he was even doing it to win as much as he just loves, like Ryan said, to just get out there and get it done. So anyway, I think Ryan's right. And Ryan, I said, Ryan, do you think when you came into this, do you think you could get 100? He goes, absolutely. He goes, I was going for the 100 and I knew I could get it done. And he wanted the $100,000, Ryan. So maybe Ryan comes back next year and goes for the $1 million. I've got an idea which you and I will talk offline and come up with something. I'll get people from the industry involved. System, and the point system will look something like this for next year. Okay. If you were to get first place Tahoe, first place Sparta, and then do your 100 miles in Iceland or wherever we hold it next year, the Ultra, you would deduct the 2 points, the first from the 100, and you'd have a score of 98. Follow me? Okay. If you were to get second and second, you would deduct 4 from 100, you'd have a score of 96. Third and third, 6 from, right, or second and third, or any combination of numbers. And between 90 points and the perfect score of 98 points, you would earn money. 98, you'd earn $1 million because that's the perfect score. You got first, and the 100 miles. Well, let's say, again, let's just have some fun with combinations. Let's say you got second and third, that adds up to 5 points, and you only ran 95 miles. Deduct the 5 from the 5, you've done 90, and that's as low as we'll pay out. Now, if you match somebody because you got second and third and they got third and second, then you would split the money at that level. Follow me? Now,
I'm doing the math. I haven't had enough coffee to do math yet, but yeah.
What I want to do for women is I want to have 80 miles equal 100 miles for men. Follow me? Because I think women, when it comes to the distance, are running about 20%. You could do the math and give me the stats.
What did Morgan do last year?
I don't know the exact numbers, but if you,
she was in the 60s because Joe did 77.
Yeah, that's right. So it sounds about right, around a 20% reduction. So in that case, 80 would equal 100, and then the women would have a fair shot at that same $1 million. So if a woman would, let's say, took first and 80, she'd have a perfect score. She can get the $1 million, or she'd split it with a man if he got a perfect score. Mm-hmm. They take 500 each. So anyway, stay tuned for that. I'm gonna lay that out, run it by you guys, make sure I haven't missed any math class and stuff.
Yeah, I'd probably say for based on what Joseph did last year and what Morgan did, and then this year, I think that for the women it probably skews closer to 70 to be fair. But this is a conversation that we'll have about the minutiae.
Yeah, exactly. We'll look at it.
The thing that I wanted to grab here was the side bets. What was presented on course? You literally grabbed them on the A-frame cargo net and talked about it. What was presented as options? What were the side bets? Because there was some confusion about what Ryan won versus the side bet, and then what you ponied up. I think 10 grand, but you tell me.
Yeah. So don't hold me exactly to the T here, but I'm going to go by memory.
This is me we're talking about here.
Yeah. I rolled in just after the race started. I got to Iceland. I flew in from Hong Kong. And I get there and I start running. Literally, my car pulls up and they're already running in their first 3 miles. And I start running with them and I can't keep up. I mean, Albon and Ryan might as well they should be gazelles or lions. I
Well,
mean,
like you've told me before, when you and I have run, you can run forever. You just can't do it fast.
exactly. So these guys are flying, and I'm playing the tape in my head from all of Albon's interviews, and I'm saying, I just don't want him to quit. Remember, that's what happened with Hobie, right? The greatest of all time, Hobie. He quit.
It's hypothermia. That hypothermia forced him to quit.
I'm not saying anything negative about Albon or Hobie. I've quit races. I'm not saying that. I'm just looking purely at the outcome,
Sure.
and that's not a great outcome. And so I said to myself, what if I threw 50,000? I actually talked to David Watson, who's our head of product. I said, what if we threw 50,000 at Albon, and we said, look, you got 12 hours to decide. In other words, if you see that you're slipping in time and you're not going to hit 100, rather than drop out, hang on and go for 90 miles, and you'll get 50 grand, which is a really nice purse.
Sure.
Right.
And the pace had to be after the 5, so 125-ish per lap had to be the pace that he had to maintain at least through the daylight hours. Exactly. And he knew after lap 2 that he was already having issues.
He was slipping a little bit.
Yeah.
And so he could decide. He had 12 hours, which was really a gimme. I mean, it was a layup decision. But you've got to mentally let go of the million to go for the 50. But you got 12 hours to decide. And I liked the idea. I thought the idea was a really good idea. Some of the fans out there went nuts, and they thought we were changing the deal. But we were not. We weren't.
It was a side bet. I mean, that's the way to look at it. The original goal was slipping. You have the complete capacity to add that side bet.
Exactly. If Albon wanted it, he could take it. If he didn't want it, he could turn it down. And anybody that knows him, as I got to know him, knows that he doesn't. He probably and he'll just go for the million, because that's the kind of guy he is. But anyway,
and he also doesn't really care about money all that much.
He doesn't really care about money. And I don't remember what I did for Ryan. I think Ryan. Oh, I know what happened when Albon quit. Albon begged me. Which was really a stand-up move on his part. And he said, listen, Atkins is a machine. Why don't you offer him 50 for 90? And I said, well, it's not really fair to us, because he's not in the running for the million. But you know what? I'll throw 25 grand out there for him if he hits 90, and to keep him in the game. And for whatever reason, he wrote me this morning and said, look, he was just really tired, and he didn't want to go for the 90. It would have been a real stretch for him to get to 90. And so him and I were standing around. I shook his hand. He was a true champion. And I said, I'm going to give you an extra 10 grand. By the way, like, for any of the folks out there that misunderstood or were negative, there's not too many sporting events anywhere in the world where the organizers or the leagues decide to give out an extra 10. It just doesn't happen.
Of course. So, well, that's the reason why I wanted to bring it up here.
Yeah. So anyway, we had some fun. Looking forward to grabbing a meal with Jon one of these days and really picking his brain. But I talked to him enough going in that I think he said to himself, look, he's a wealthy guy. He's healthy. He's got the greatest life ever. He goes out and wins races. He's just not one of these people that's chasing money. So he's a very wealthy guy in life. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't really about the money for him. But he couldn't not come and try it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. I mean, like I said, he knocked down everything he could along the line, including all these, for lack of a better term, extracurricular, non-Spartan-based events, and won those things too. So he was coming. I looked at what Jon did, and I thought, this reminds me of what Robert Killian tried to do 2 years ago, where he raced every race that was put in front of him, whether it was a sprint, whether it was a ultra beast. He did everything he possibly could, and we saw the effects on him later on in the season. With this, knowing this was the ultimate race of Jon's season, I really wondered about whether he would break down as well.
You pay a price. You pay a price, right? And in fairness to John, though, the $1 million wasn't offered out there early in the season. So that's why I want to get this offer out there for future years early enough where athletes could kind of position themselves. And if they decide to do 200 races, that so be it. Listen, to earn this $1 million, it's going to require lightning in a bottle. Yeah. But so will breaking the 2-hour marathon.
Right. Well, right? So was the American Ninja Warrior. Nobody could ever complete it until they broke it into stages, and the South Korean team finished wave 3 or whatever, and then suddenly, holy shit, we can actually finish this thing. And then immediately right after that, Brian Arnold went and did it, and then immediately the next season, Cesar went and won the whole thing. So it has, like I tell everyone, you have to make it, then you have to make it possible. And then people are going to be able to complete it.
I agree.
So we'll put a pin. You and I'm looking forward to talking with you about the point system. That's a great wrap on Iceland, but you've got so many other things going on. I just was looking up the Stadion. I was just looking up Trail. Kids has grown exponentially. There are a million different offerings in the Spartan lifestyle brand, I guess.
Yeah. I'll go quick. I don't have a ton of time. I got somebody here for me, and you and I did this impromptu, and I appreciate that. But on the Stadion, you heard me 2 or 3 months ago make a joke about having lions out on course in 2019, and that was where that came from, because we were talking about the old Stadion.
Oh, okay. Now that's a little
back. I had in my mind, the rulers up there, thumbs up, thumb down, right? Feed them to the lions.
I don't want to be in that stadium if you're up there then, because I know what your choice might be.
So we got Stadion came out, and we're going global with that, and we're trying to bring it back to its roots of what it was like in the ancient world.
So that's just running in stairs, or is that more like a decathlon?
No. It's going to be very much like our Stadium series, but we're growing it, we're expanding it, we're tweaking it, and we renamed it because let's go back to the ancient world.
Okay, so Stadium series has become Stadion.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm good that we're talking about this, because even I was a little bit screwed up on that. I thought that this was a third type that was more running in stairs. So Stadium is growing worldwide.
Correct. And then Trail is, look, there's a lot of people that just don't want obstacles, so we'll get them out on the trails. We don't expect we're going to make any real revenue with Trail, just because I've been putting on trail races for 18 years, and they're tough.
Yeah.
You don't get, yeah, they're tough. And then we'll do some urban events, which is exciting, just getting closer into the cities. Those are the big changes. Otherwise, everything is normal. And I think the biggest change is the thing we're talking about, which is this idea of this World Championship Series. Knock out these 3 events, and there'll be some big money on the line.
Well, I know that you're running tight. I commend you. We've had this conversation a bunch of times. I commend you for really pumping up the kids race. Just like in golf or tennis, anything else, if you don't cultivate the younger generation, no one's going to be participating in this down the road. Triathlon, well, we've had this conversation, but triathlon did it way too late. And I love the fact that you're getting into it a lot earlier to bring kids into Spartan race, into obstacle course racing.
Yeah, if I had my way, we would close all the doors of every public school in America in the morning. They would be mandating 30 burpees on the way in and 30 burpees on the way out. That would be my mandate.
Well, I don't think that's all that bad, given the state of the physical fitness test. One more thing on that note, you're seeing the military PFT tests incorporating a lot more. I mean, there's some inside information I guess I have, but there's a lot more of the obstacle course racing in the military PFT. Does that excite the heck out of you?
Yeah, I mean, I get really excited. I get knock on wood. I get to go to the Pentagon often. I get to go sit down with a lot of different units, and I have massive military envy. So it's not surprising that it's really gone full circle, because don't forget, this stuff came from the military.
Of course.
We applied it to civilian life, and now it's going back.
It's amazing. I love where it's grown. I love what you're doing. I've got a million other things to ask you, but we'll save that for a later time. Joe, awesome job in Iceland. Really amazing year. I can't wait to talk with you about all the stuff coming up in 2019 with Spartan.
You're awesome. I'll see you later. Thanks for taking the time. Bye.
Take care, man. Happy holidays.
You too. Bye.